For today's Cyber CEO episode,
I really do appreciate 𝗙ecie. She has made my everyday life so much simpler, and I don't have to think about social media anymore, which is always my goal. It's like completely off my plate. I'm much more hands-off and don't have to worry as much. So, yeah.
welcome to Cyber CEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. Cyber CEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. Another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is 𝗙𝗲𝗋. We're back with another episode of Cyber CEO. And of course, we have a very special guest on the show. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
All right. That's
Yeah,
good to
how are
know.
you?
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for asking and for dropping by. I know you have a lot of things to do. I really, really appreciate you being on the show today. Now, to start things off, to let you know, we have a lot of listeners who are business owners just like yourself. So I need your help. Can you introduce yourself to our audience? Maybe we can start with, what's your role in the business, Emily?
Yeah, I am the director of operations for our team that's based in Boston, Miami, and I am in charge of the ops staff.
Okay, so operations. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been in the real estate business?
Not too long, just 3 years.
3 years.
So I've known the team for a very long time. My mom actually was their first hire in 2014. So I've been around the team for a long time, but I didn't join on until a couple of years ago.
But still, you were kind of like in the business then, by then.
I was like adjacent to it.
There you go. Adjacent to the business. Now, just how about now, working with someone virtual, just like with your Cyberbacker? Is this your first time doing it?
Well, ironically, I guess you could call me virtual. I don't live in the city that our team is in. So I'm out of state from our team. So I guess, and our boss actually doesn't live where our hub team is either. So multiple of us are virtual. Okay. So it wasn't that far of a stretch.
Yeah, not really a stretch there. So you have experience working virtually yourself then, am I right?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Yes. Yeah. This is I'm right here in my home office. And that's what I do.
Now, let me ask you, is this your first time doing it though? Just like yourself, you experiencing it, working virtually.
Yeah. And so I guess we had other hires who we had started on as in person and then became virtual. So this was our first time hiring someone who we hadn't met in person before, and who hadn't worked out of the office first. Well, I guess except for we do have a part-time closing assistant who happens to be my sister-in-law, but I know her well.
Okay, gotcha.
She's also virtual.
So a lot of the part of the business is really virtual then in your business. Am I right?
Yes.
Now, quick question though, before we talk more about your experience with Cyberbacker, how did you find out about us? How did you hear about us?
Yeah, I was really trying to think about where did I first hear about Cyberbacker? I think it maybe was just a combination of things from coaches as well as from just being present at family reunion and other Keller Williams events.
Okay.
So yeah.
Word of mouth, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's talk more about your experience with Cyberbacker then. Before you got to work with your Cyberbacker, you went through our hiring process. So talk to me about that experience there. Was it something different? Was it something difficult? Tell me more.
I felt like it was a little bit difficult for me because of the position I was looking for, where if I was looking for someone that I could really just purely train in to do a task, that didn't seem as difficult, but I was looking for someone to do some more design work with marketing, and that seemed harder. I really needed to see more examples of their, design sort of experience, portfolio, and things like that. So I think it would have been easier had I been hiring for a different position, but like with design, you really need someone who has just that eye, which is something that you can't really teach. Like another thing I could just totally teach someone how to do it, but this was different.
Now, your Cyberbacker, does your Cyberbacker have that eye that you just mentioned for design?
She does. She does. And I very much appreciate it. And I give her all kinds of things to design, and she does a great job.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned, so I'm just assuming here, your Cyberbacker's main roles is more on designing social media and marketing then. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. She does do some, work behind the scenes in the marketing stuff that is, kind of keeping our database cleaned up for marketing events and, all kinds of stuff, sending out mailings and those kinds of things. But a lot of what she does is social media design, coming up with marketing materials and the way that they look.
Now, you already mentioned earlier that when you're looking for someone to do designs for you, for your marketing, things like that, you would preferably want someone who's right there that you can tap probably or see their portfolio. So how did you transition then? Now you're working with someone who's virtual too. You're Cyberbacker, handling designs, handling marketing, handling social media. Was it a big change for you?
I mean, it definitely was a process for us to kind of figure out how to communicate and the smoothest way to do that. Partially because even just explaining something verbally to someone, like move this thing over, even if we're on the phone, it's hard for that to always make sense because, I can't just point at the screen. So what we figured out some ways I would make comments in Google Drive, and you can literally like highlight exactly the part of the image that you're talking about. And so now we'll just do that. She sends it to me in the draft, and I make tons and tons of comments on stuff. Not as much as I did at the beginning. I'll change this, move this, do that. And she does it right away. And the communication is super clear. So it did take us a little bit of time to kind of figure out what process would work best for us to understand each other most clearly.
Now, before we move on, though, I forgot to ask, how long have you been working with your Cyberbacker, by the way?
She started in August, so just over 3 months.
Over 3 months. Now, aside from social media, marketing, designs, what other tasks do you have your Cyberbacker do for you?
It's mostly things like that. I mean, I do have a backup list of just like projects that I haven't had time to get to, that if she ever has extra time and, or it's a slow week, we don't have a lot of listings for her to post about or something like that, she'll jump in and take care of those for me so that I don't have to worry about them. Those they're important, but they're not urgent kind of tasks. So I do have a list of those for her, and she does help me out with those. So some of this would be kind of what I mentioned, like database management kind of stuff, cleaning things up, or random things like creating a team birthday calendar and adding everyone's birthdays to it so that I don't forget someone's birthday. Random things like that I just don't always have time to get to. And she can once she's done doing her social media and marketing stuff.
So basically, she really is there to back you up with anything aside from the marketing stuff, the design, the social media, anything you throw at her. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned it's a new partnership, more than 90 days working with your Cyberbacker. What we'd like to know is, do you have any tips that you can share with our listeners on how to work well or have a successful partnership with someone who's virtual? Because you and I both know that there could be some differences working with someone virtual and someone in-house or in the office, right? So any tips you can share, Emily?
I think with any new hire, it's remembering that first beginning part is going to be a lot of just explaining what you want and teaching someone how to do what you want. It's really hard to get that to translate all the time because sometimes we don't know what we want. And so that will always be a process. But especially with someone far away, and then find the mode of communication that works best for you. So for us, we text all the time because I respond best over text message. I like my emails, her comments or emails to me will get buried. But she'll just text me and I can get to it right away. Even if I'm in the middle of the meeting, I can, respond, give her an answer really, within a couple of seconds and then move on. So yeah, it would be just like, understand that it's a process to communicate, find your mode of communication that is going to function best for you. Yeah. And then I think also just understand what what their strengths are going to be. Like there are some times when I just have to know, like, this is a cultural American sort of holiday that I'm asking her to make a post about. Like she's not going to really know what I want. So I have to explain a little bit more, but then there are other things that I don't have to explain much about at all. Or even about like property photos. Like I had to tell her like, hey, these are the types of property photos that we want more than these other ones. But just knowing that like that's a process. And as soon as she learns that, I don't have to repeat it 10 times. I just tell it to her and then she knows and then we move on. So the first few months or first like month and a half was much more intensive and we had to communicate a lot. And now I'm much more hands off and don't have to worry as much. So yeah.
Really? The first month and a half, I think that's the phase where you really get used to working with your cyberbackers. Well, it's like a getting to know stage in any kind of relationship, right?
Absolutely. And it just takes more time, because there's just more explanation. There's more communication that needs to be done,
Sure.
And I, need to watch things a lot more closely, especially when it's about to be, put out on social media. I need to definitely make sure that I check it. But also one thing that I try and remember, especially with social media, is that like, it's not the end of the world. Like a story lasts for 24 hours. Like if there's a mistake on it, I mean, unless it's like the wrong price on a property, right? But like there's like a tiny mistake, the end of our logo is cut off on it's not the end of the world. It doesn't last forever. And so we can just move on and then make adjustments later.
Again, just for improvements as well. I think that's part of growth anyway. Some of the mistakes that are made are like part of the process of growing and working with each other too, right? Now,
absolutely. I really do appreciate 𝗙ecie. She has made my everyday life so much simpler and I don't have to think about social media anymore, which is always my goal. It's like completely off my plate, and continuing in her studies. I hope that, all of that goes well as well. So yeah.
Now, we are very, very excited to see where this partnership grows to, of course, for the next couple of months. And again, Emily, thank you very much for dropping by today. I had fun talking to you.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of CyberCEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.